More people. All right. Okay. What do I do when people raise their hands? So fun. All right. Whatever I do, don't press end. I almost just pressed the end. That would be cool. Okay. All right, you guys, let's get started. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I know your time is absolutely precious. I really, really appreciate it. I hope that you're able to, I hope that I'm able to deliver value to you guys in the next hour is what we'll try and aim for. So welcome to Don't Take This the Wrong Way. And it's so funny because every time somebody repeat that back to me, my heart would drop like, what did I do? And it's just this thing that happens. I'm sure that's like, if people were to say that to us, we think like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? How did I hurt somebody? What did I do? Did I say something to offend you? Right. So it just speaks to this universal issue of like, we're so worried, right, about what other people think. And our intention is never to hurt people. So anyway, so happy you're here. If you have questions along the way, just pop them in the chat. My name is Shaheen and I live in Southern California. I'm a mama to 3 boys. Let's see, I'll just tell you a bit about me. They're 16, 16, 19, and yeah, 20. Isn't that crazy? Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I've been married with the same man for over 25 years. So, being like the only woman in my family, I know a lot about boundaries and I know what happened to me when I didn't have boundaries. And, we'll just get into that a little bit later. I'll go into more of the details of my life a little bit later, but I'm a certified coach and a serial entrepreneur. I've had many experiences of my husband and I owned a retail store, a luxury clothing brand, online store. I was a prenatal doula, or I was prenatal yoga instructor, a doula. I've done it all. Like I've had my hand in a lot of different things. I worked in LA when I first moved to LA as a stylist assistant. So I got to work with a lot of, A-list actors and got to see a lot of fun things like that. So I've been on this like forever. And then I actually had a stint in corporate, 2 stints in corporate. But I've been on this journey, right, to like really find what it is that I'm supposed to do. And it's funny because sort of the lack of boundaries in my life has led me to this point of like really having to establish who I am and creating the boundaries to realize, okay, this is my purpose. It's actually to be of service, to help women. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So yeah, so let's get started. This is what we're going to be covering this morning, right? We're going to be covering like how to shift our mindset around what it means to firmly set a boundary, and how to do it with kindness and not come from like this resentful, reactive place. This can be so challenging sometimes. And then I want you guys to at least leave this workshop with the sense of knowing that, when you set a boundary, it doesn't mean you're being a bitch. Because so often it feels like we set boundaries, it's because of the other person. And what I like to, yes, call is being recorded, Sheila. And what I would like to switch for you guys or have you think in a different way, it's that the boundary is actually for you. It is not, it has nothing to do with the other person. Even though they're the one instigating it, right? They're the ones saying, oh, there's a line being crossed. I would like you to modify your, whatever it is, even though they might be inciting different behavior, it is truly it's all about us. It's a personal journey. So I want to also cover like how to set the powerful boundaries without guilt or worry. Boundaries that work for you, not for others, because it's not about others, it's about us. And then I want, at the end to like stop fearing offending others because you'll be so anchored in your truth and self-worth that you won't care what anyone else thinks. That's the goal. Because we set boundaries to protect our peace. And also too is to recognize when our boundaries, lastly, to recognize when our boundaries are crossed, and how to handle it with grace, with humor, with confidence, because this can be done. And we have to have a sense of humor, as you guys already know. In life, if we can't laugh at the things that happen, life is just way too serious and it's not fun. And that's not the point. So yes, and at the end, I'm going to be talking about a course that I'm announcing, and you don't have to stay on for that, but if you're interested, you can listen. I'll let you know. So if you're complete, that's amazing. You can jump off. I just wanted to let you know right now from the get-go. So thank you again for being here. And so this workshop is perfect if you feel like you're burning out, if you're exhausted, if you're struggling, asking for help, if you're having a hard time letting others know that they need to support you, or if you overcommit to others and you undercommit to yourself. This is such a big one I see with my clients. It's so hard to say no, right? And we all know that no is a complete sentence, but why is it so hard? And this workshop is great for you if you're worried, that loved ones are going to become angry with you when you set the boundaries, if they're going to become disappointed with you. We're going to work on that. Yes, you can reach outside of the Zoom. Yes, I'll be sending you guys an email with everything, Sheila. So yes, I don't want you to be worried, but we are worried, right? That's why we all signed up. Like, don't take this the wrong way. Like, how hard is it for us to set these boundaries? And so that's what we're trying to shift, is to make it less hard. And also to be noted that this is a practice. This is something we're going to do a little bit at a time. And we're going to get better as it goes on, right? As I know that you guys have already had life full of, we've been alive, right? We've all had issues with this. So the experience, and this is just a practice. Let me let this person in. And so this workshop is also perfect if, for instance, I'm very famous for this, like, okay, I'm going to give 15 minutes of just self-care. And then what happens? That 15 minutes never happens. It just gets absorbed. I'm going to take that walk. Does it happen? No, because I've given my time to everyone else, even to the chores in the house, to my clients, to my family, to my husband, to the animals. Who knew you had to have boundaries with your animals? And I have a lot of animals. So anyway, why do boundaries matter? Because they are the foundation for our entire life. And I don't know about you guys if you grew up in families where we were taught boundaries. I wasn't. It wasn't like a thing to do. And I'm in my 40s, but it wasn't, I'm trying to teach my children that now, right? But there are different times when boundaries weren't talked about, they weren't respected, even if they were talked about, or they just didn't exist, right? We had roles, we had to fulfill our roles, especially like if you were, maybe a big sister or what, if your job was to take care of everyone, that was your job. You were last on the list. Another reason why it matters is because we create boundaries, we do it for ourselves. It's because we have to care about ourselves. And this is such a hard shift, I feel like, for women to step into, is to really honor who we are. I don't feel that we give ourselves enough credit. I know that I've spent my life not doing it. And now I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing for myself. My life has completely changed since I've shifted this for myself. And that's why I want, to share this with you all. Because you are literally the most important person in the world. Easy to say, harder to believe, but once you start and you practice and you start seeing the results of putting yourself first, it becomes addicting. And it doesn't mean you neglect others. That's not what I'm saying. It's just it's a shift. It's an energetic shift. And also, you can be successful. You can have a successful business. You can be very successful and not have boundaries, but it comes at a great personal cost. This was me. It came at a super great personal cost because I was self-sacrificing. Yeah, I was successful, but I was like killing myself, self-sacrificing for everyone, for my business, for my husband, what I thought I should be doing. And then, there came a time when I broke, like I crashed and I burned. And what happens, you guys, when we self-sacrifice so much, more times than not, we're gonna break. And what happens when we break? Other people are gonna have to come in and take care of us. And then we are actually asking others to self-sacrifice. Is it convenient for them to pick up our pieces? No. Are they going to do it? Yeah. Will our kids do it? Yeah. Will our family members do it? Our partners do it? They will. But because we didn't take the time to put ourselves first, we then put others, it's just interesting because we wouldn't really think about like, oh, if I do this now, this saves a lot of of my loved ones' future heartaches. So this is just another reason why it matters. It's endless, the reasons why it matters. And so you guys, right now, I want to invite you to take a pause and close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths and put your hand on your heart. Because I want to tell you, you all have giant, beautiful hearts. And you love people. And you have so much compassion for others. I want to invite you to turn that love for others. I want you to love yourself because you matter. And you've been through a lot. And I commend you for being here. And I'm going to ask that you have compassion for yourself on this journey of setting boundaries, of finding your way. I want to ask for you guys to have self-love and a sense of humor. And I'm just going to say this quote out loud to you guys because I think it's so important before we begin. It's by this woman, her name is Dr. Vasia, and it goes like this. When you're not used to being confident, confidence feels like arrogance. When you're used to being passive, assertiveness feels like aggression. That really hits home, right? Because to have boundaries, to care less, we have to be assertive. But if we're not used to it, it can feel like aggression. This is a shift. We're shifting that. If you're not getting when you're not getting your needs met, prioritizing yourself feels selfish. And so if we've been operating in this, like not used to being confident, we're used to being passive, not used to like putting ourselves first and getting our needs met, this is our benchmark. This is our comfort zone. And this is what's going to change. This is what we're working on to change. Okay. Because setting boundaries, it's about being self-confident and assertive. And it's about advocating for ourselves. So this is a practice. So before we really dive in, I want you to make a note, or in your head, I want you to think about a boundary that you want to set, that you want to work on, because we can, for you guys, as I'm going through this, I want you to play with this on paper, in your notes, or just in your head. Who in your life, what situation, what would be best served if you could create a boundary right now? Is it your partner? Is it your parents, your clients, your business, your obnoxious landlord, whatever it is? Is it even a boundary with yourself? Because that's really important too. We have to have boundaries with ourselves, with the way we think about ourselves. So sometimes, we have to say to ourselves, I'm going to stop doing this. This is not healthy for me. So I want you to think about that. Set the intention as we go through, because I want you to leave with a tangible boundary that you can implement and, play with and have fun with, in a sense, because boundaries, again, my approach to all this is like, life is for fun. It's hard enough as it is. And let's have fun setting boundaries, because setting boundaries, it's tough. Okay, so here we go. Let's understand what a boundary is, right? That word is not my favorite word. It's literally not my favorite word. I feel like it's a bit offensive when we hear it. Like, who wants to set boundaries? It doesn't sound like fun. It sounds like a lot of work. Sounds like we're going to offend people, but it is what it is, right? And that's where that's what we're shifting right now. But I want to shift this into like okay, so first of all, boundaries, it sort of like conveys the idea that we're keeping ourselves separate. But you guys, it's actually the opposite, because boundaries are connecting points. Boundaries provide healthy rules for navigating relationships, whether that be intimate or professional. Boundaries are actually invitations. So if you were to set a boundary with somebody, this is something for you to shift in your mind. You're actually inviting them to remain in a relationship with you, because it's important enough. You're putting the energy you're setting that boundary. It's actually an invitation of like, hey, let's make this work. If you didn't care about them and you would just be like, F you, I don't care, you're not going to set a boundary with them. So so when you think about setting a boundary, you're not mad at them. You're actually inviting them to stay in your life. It just has to shift a bit. And boundaries, they bring us closer. They bring us closer together than further apart. And for the relationships, we'll get into this at the end, for the relationships that can't withstand a boundary, it says a lot. It just says a lot. Is it a boundary? You ask yourself, is it a relationship I want to keep? But anyway, boundaries are necessary in all relationships. They take tremendous courage, tremendous compassion, tremendous self-love, and self-respect. And they exist in every single area of our life. We need these. We need them for self-care. We need them in our careers. We need them in our relationships. We need them. They're all over. So the more we're able to focus on this and create this, the more we'll be able to create this. And then life, you guys, will shift around us. It will shift to us. And this is the magical part of life. I know this is like kind of the energetics of boundary, but we have to shift, right? We have to shift how we see the boundaries. And this is important, you guys. This means we have to shift how we receive them. When was the last time a person set a boundary down in your life? I'm actually thinking about that. I mean, my kids do all the time with me. My cat does, like if she slaps me in the face, she's like, get out of my face. But when was the last time somebody set a boundary with you, and how did you receive it? Was it shaky? Did you get offended? Were you hurt? Did you need to take some space, some time? This is really true, like with friendships, I find. It's hard to set boundaries with friendships because we love our friends so much. But when was the last time a friend set a boundary with you? So the point is, the quicker we can get on board with others' boundaries, the quicker we can create them. Because we're like, oh yeah, you set a boundary with me, cool, got it. Nothing to do with me, everything to do with you. I didn't even realize I was trespassing over that boundary. I'm so glad I know now. So when we are able to like incorporate that attitude, then we're able to create the boundaries even faster and easier. It's just like, so it's reciprocal, right? The way we receive them reflects the way we create them. So I just want you to be conscious of that as you move throughout your life, throughout your day, throughout your week, of like, oh yeah, they just set a boundary. It's going to come to you and be like, oh, how do I consciously want to choose? Maybe they didn't set it well, but boundaries can be set in many different ways, and sometimes we just have to be like, okay, they're setting a boundary. They're not very crafty with it, they're not very skilled, but this is what they're trying to do. So yeah, the easier it gets. And how to set boundaries, it's with friends, how to not take things the wrong way. It's so important to be grounded and centered, and we have to understand what matters to us. We have to understand. And when we are in a heated moment or we're upset, it is not the time to make a boundary. Maybe you just had a fight, you had a discussion, you're offended, you're upset. Come back to it. Come back to it. I mean, this has been like story of my life. I'm a Scorpio, I'm hot-headed. I'm like the nicest person, like on earth. I come across as that. But man, when I snap. And it is like, I will burn the village down. I will take everyone with me. And it is not the way to be. But I've had to learn, right? We all learn. We all have tempers. We get pushed. But what I've done is like, when I know that I'm boiling, I know like I've got to come back to this and address it later. And I walk away. That's just my personal tactic. So if you're in a fight, if you're having a heated moment, it is not the time to set the boundary. Come back to it. And also, I want to talk about like, setting boundaries in a sense of, we want to use language that is like clear and non-negotiable. And I'll go over some examples shortly. Because if it's not clear, if it's not like grounded, it can come across as threatening to the recipient. And that's not good boundary setting. And we don't want to blame. There's no blaming in boundary setting, you guys. That's the beautiful thing. We are each responsible parties, and I take responsibility for my action. This person takes responsibility for their action. I'm not going to blame them. I mean, I can. It's not going to go anywhere. Do I have to like it? No. Do I have to be a part of it? No. I have choices, right? Can I go back later and say, when you do this, it makes me feel like this? Yes. This is how, and we'll get into so actually we'll get into it right now. So, and I'm going to put this in the chat. So boundaries, let me do this, put this in the chat. This is such a nice, oh, I see lots of comments. I'll get back to those. Boundaries can be expressed like this. I feel, and maybe you guys have seen this in your lives, et cetera, and this, hopefully, I'm sorry, apologies if it sounds very basic, but I just find it very refreshing. I like to see things too. I feel an emotion when you do or don't, ... because I think it means ... I would like, I would want, I would prefer ... So the old me would be like talking to my partner. I'm so mad at you because you never help around the house. Do you think that this is what I want to do every day? Do you think that I don't have other things to do? That's the old me. But if I want to like set a boundary with this like elevated sense of like being in different energy, and this is truly the deal, I feel underappreciated and not supported when you don't help around the house, because I think it means you don't value my time. I think it means you don't respect me. I would like you to help without me having to ask for it. Right? Like the emotional charge, it's the same thing, but it's not. It's just us being conscious of like, how do we express our needs? How do we let people know there are things that we need to change? And we give them the opportunity, right? Because if I'm coming like, with a pitchfork on fire and I'm like, I'm pissed, you suck, you're lazy, all I do is this, I can't do what I want, I'm resentful, I'm burning the house down, and there's no room, no space for healing, for growing. It's just more resentment adding up for both parties. Another example is like with a good friend, for instance. Say you have a good friend, she doesn't listen, she just talks about herself. The old way of being would be like, you were so self-centered. All you care about is yourself. You don't hear what I'm saying. That's truly how you can feel. I'm not taking that away. We are allowed to feel how we're going to feel. But if we're going to create a boundary, if we're going to express ourselves, a way of saying it is, I feel like you don't listen to me and it makes me upset. I feel like you only talk about your own problems because I think it means you don't care. I would like it if you could listen to me and acknowledge what I'm saying. Right? We all have that friend that just like goes on, that's like super self-centered. So instead of like, if you want the relationship to improve, this is the way you could approach it. And if they take it the wrong way, they'll hopefully come back around. If they're not used to you setting boundaries, it takes people some time to see this like new edge, the new you. And again, it's going to take a lot of practice on our part. But once you get started and the boundaries start getting set, it's just such a game changer. Everything improves. So when we express ourselves this way, it becomes our truth. And you kind of can't like mess with other people's truth. Like you can't mess with my truth. My truth is my truth. Is it yours? Nope. Why would it be yours? That's mine. Yours is your truth. I respect your truth. Do I agree? 100% not. Do I like some of it? No. Do I like any of it? No. But I respect it. And so we have to accept others' truths. We don't have to take it in, but we have to accept, we have to respect. And if we're coming from a loving, centered, grounded space and we express ourselves like this, it's literally the recipient's responsibility to deal with their emotions. We can't control their emotions, right? And I think too, like this is what women do, especially as moms, as partners, etc. We want everything to be okay. We will go out of our ways, we'll break ourselves, we'll people please so that everyone will be okay. Because we can take the hits, right? We'll suck it up, we'll take the hit. It works, but it doesn't. Like it's gonna stop working. So this is like a conversation to help us become more conscious of stop trying to please others, stop trying to take care of other people's emotions, because we cannot, but it is so tempting. I acknowledge, I do everything to make my, family happy. And that was such a huge game changer for me. It's like, my oldest son, he's having issues. I can't fix them. He has to figure it out. These are his choices. My husband, he's a pain in the butt. He doesn't like what I just said. That's too bad. Deal with it. But you guys, it's taken me a whole freaking lifetime and like major crashes and burns to get to this point. But this is like the empowering part I want you to really take in. It's like we are not responsible for others. All we can do is protect our peace, protect our space, protect our happiness level. That's all we can do. And that's already enough, right? That's huge. If we can do that, then like we're winning. I believe we're winning anyway, because we're alive and we're, breathing and we're here, and, life is really, really good, but life can be better. So these are just like some basic human rights that I'm just going to say out loud here. I'm going to actually put them in the chat because I just think they're so, just to see them is such a beautiful reminder. Hang on. Let's see if I can, sorry. There we go. Oh, I want to do to everyone. All right, here we go. So I have a right. This is really important. And if you can take a screenshot, type it in your phone, actually, or I can email you guys all this. I have a right to say no without feeling guilty. I have a right to be treated with respect. I have a right to make my needs as important as others. This is such a huge one. These are things, these are mantras, these are affirmations we can say all day long. And we should, I don't like that word. We could, and it would benefit us, especially if we're questioning ourselves. I have a right to be accepting of my mistakes and failures. It's okay, we're not perfect. I have a right not to meet others' unreasonable expectations of me. This is huge. We have a right. People have expectations of us. It's not our job to meet them. I'll talk about this a bit later, but like I spent my life trying to meet other people's expectations and it did not work out for me. But we don't know this, like, because we're as children or raised, we're babies, you know, like we learn to get love. We have to be cute. We're cute, you know, we get our parents' approval when we're good girls, when we're good boys, when we're obedient. It's just all conditioning. It's all it is. And the beautiful thing about today's day and age is we get to like consciously unlearn. We get to decondition ourselves. And this is a big one. It's about who cares what other people's expectations of me are. Yes, if you're a mom, you got to feed your kids. Yes, if, you know, we have responsibilities that we have. I'm not saying ditch the responsibilities, but it is about, you know, my husband thinks that I should do this. Really? He thinks I should do that, but I don't think I should do that. But if I'm going to say that to him, I have to come from a centered or grounded place and be like, you know what? I feel that this is not the right choice for me. And when you say these things to me, or maybe he's not even saying it, or maybe he is saying it, you know, it's because you think that this is the best way, but it makes me feel like you don't trust me when I am trusting myself. You know, this is just an example. So yeah, so we've gotten to the point where we're setting boundaries, right? We're like shifting our mindset. Boundaries aren't a bad thing. They're actually our best friends. Has everything to do with us. Like we should give ourselves a pat on the back and a hug every time we're able to set a boundary. And it's not easy to set boundaries, especially if you're a recovering people pleaser, which me. Because when we set boundaries, we are actively breaking a habit that you've had for months, years, even decades, right? Or like your whole entire life. So I want to pause here because I want to give a lot of importance to that one boundary that I'm encouraging you to set once you leave the workshop. And for those who came in late, I wanted to, you know, I would encourage you to think of a boundary that you need to set in your life and use what we're learning here to craft that boundary, to craft how you're going to approach it, to craft how you're going to say it, and to really think about, lean into the part of you that you're respecting when you're setting that boundary. Is it because I have so much love for this relationship that if it's not respected, I don't know if I can maintain the relationship. So the value there is the love for your relationship. That's where you're coming from. You're tapping into that, to why are you setting it? It's about love from you, love for yourself, love for others, desire to continue a relationship, desire for whatever it is to work. So that's the idea here. But when we set the boundaries, if we're not used to it, it can feel like an enormous emotional upheaval, because you're literally doing some big work. You're doing some big emotional work. And I want to point out, you guys, we're not robots, right? We are human bodies. We have a heart, we have a mind, we have a nervous system. Nervous system is very important. When we're setting boundaries for the first time, our heart, our mind, and our nervous system is learning how to process and hold these difficult emotions. This goes for anything in life, right? You know how we shake, we get upset, we sweat. This is our nervous system responding. And it's beautiful that it responds. It means that we're alive, something's happening, something's changing. So I want you to, when you feel your nervous system react, I want you to be calm and compassionate and caring with yourself. And that's a great time to take some deep breaths. You know, you're like, oh my gosh, they just like said something to upset me, or I just like laid the boundary down. And if you need to, I'm giving you permission to give yourself permission. Take a nap. Sometimes we need to take a nap. We need to reset, you know? I do. It's like, or take a walk, get out of our heads, because it can be exhausting. It could be draining. This whole human experience can be exhausting. It's beautiful, but it's a journey. Also meditating, if that's your thing, listen to like a 5-minute guided meditation on YouTube or whatever it is, to just get back into your body. Because we have to reset, but we have to acknowledge that sometimes we have to reset our nervous system because it's just not used to doing the thing. It will get more used to it, but it's, you know, we have to train our bodies just like we have to train our mind. And then also, you know, if you're creating a boundary, if you're setting a boundary and it gets a little heated, take space. There's nothing wrong with like, I'm going to just take an hour or two. And then, you know, and then I'll come back. And they may want to be like, no, we need to have this conversation now. Just be like, no, out of, you know, complete respect. I just need like time. I need an hour or two. You may not, but I do. And then you walk away. But you come back. But you know what I mean? It's like you honor yourself enough to take space. And then most importantly, it's like use this as an opportunity for learning. Because everything is a learning opportunity. So you could be like, oh my gosh, I set this boundary. Did I do it perfectly? No. Where can I improve? Here. I can say it not so aggressively, or I can not worry so much, or I can, how about this? I can worry less. You can say to yourself, I'm going to give myself 3 minutes to worry. And then after the 3 minutes, I'm going to look at my clock or my phone. I'm going to be like, that's it, I'm done. Because worrying is not going to change a damn thing, as we know. And we can't control it. People are going to make up the stories they're going to want to make up. We have no control, just like we make up our own stories. They don't have control of our stories. We don't have control of theirs. So set yourself free. Do yourself the favor, set yourself free, detach. Know that whatever boundaries you're creating, it is in your best interest and their best interest, etc. And then, you know, lastly, I want to talk about what happens when literally, like when people do like violate or cross our boundaries, and how to handle it. How do you know when you have a boundary being crossed? Well, first of all, I want to give a disclaimer. Most people don't intentionally know that they are crossing a boundary. They don't know. They're doing so out of ignorance, out of lack of critical thought, out of lack of just like being conscious, reading the room, thinking of other people other than themselves. So it's just a disclaimer, like 9 times out of 10, unless you're dealing with a different kind of person, people don't really realize. So when we take a step back and we're like, okay, maybe they just didn't actually mean to do that thing to me that like has my heart on fire and my hands are sweating and my jaw's clenched. But it is my responsibility to change that, because they don't know. They're clueless. They have no idea. They're just being them. And sometimes them being them is very frustrating because we're all being ourselves and we're just like, you know? So again, this is the invitation. Setting boundaries is an invitation to continue your relationship. Hang on, I'm sorry, I'm just letting some people in. So how do we know when the boundary is being crossed? Well, the first thing we can ask ourselves is, did you set the boundary in the first place? Do they even know that they crossed it? Were they aware that you had a boundary? And if they didn't, then how would they know, right? Like that's just off the bat. Like, do they know? No. So we can't really be mad at them. So we have to take pause. We have to take a second. We have to regulate our nervous system. We have to take our deep breaths. We had to feel our feet on the ground. We have to, however it is you ground yourself and talk to yourself, you guys. Talk to yourself kindly and with compassion and just say, you know what? They didn't even know because I never communicated it. It's funny because this is an example of me not communicating like to my husband. Like I need some time alone. That sounds like a boundary. How much time alone? I might need 2 or 3 hours. He thinks I need 10 minutes. And I'm like, what? Why are you here? But I didn't communicate it clearly. It's not his fault. It's not my fault either. I'm not, there's no blame here, but like, if I'm not very specific, they won't pick up on it. So if I need time alone, I should be very specific and be like, I would like 3 hours alone, please. It is now 1 o'clock. You can come back at 5 o'clock. Oh, that's 4 hours. Okay, 5 o'clock, I'll see you. And then I have my peace. And then it's very clear. So just, there's just encouragement to be really clear with your boundaries. But when people violate your boundaries, where do you feel it? Right? And this is like an invitation for you to be in touch with your body, because we have souls, we have this beautiful heart, this spirit, and we're like in these human bodies, and our bodies will tell us a lot of things if we slow down and listen to them. Do you feel it in your heart? Are you sweating? Does your chest get really tight? Like my chest gets tight. And then, do you feel it in your stomach? Do you feel sick to your stomach? Does your throat get really, really tight? Where you're like, if that's happening, pay attention, because something is there that needs to be addressed. And, talk to yourself, figure it out, or talk to a friend or a therapist or whatever it is. But like, what is that thing, that ball in your throat? And then, once you're feeling these emotions, or actually there's even more. Who clenches their fist? That's like something like I know that like you see kids do, right? Or little babies, they clench their fists when they're frustrated. Yeah, and I think, I know that sometimes when I'm sleeping and I'm stressed, I sleep like this. But pay attention, because your body's trying to tell you something. Maybe there's a boundary being crossed that you didn't even realize you had. There was a boundary that you didn't know that you even needed. That's a big thing too. So yeah, so also the other thing to pay attention to is when the boundary is being crossed is, what do your instincts tell you? You know, that little bitty voice inside that we don't listen to sometimes, that like the flag, the smoke alarm, the thing where you're like, oh shit, that doesn't sound right. Or like, this person kind of freaks me out. Like, boundary alert. Why did I just invite them to my house? Or why did I just why did I just entangle myself? It's okay. We can do better next time. But when we're looking at it as a learning experience, be like, oh my gosh, my intuition, however you talked about your intuition, that voice, she knew, and she's trying to tell you. We have this superpower. It's our intuition, and it is our like connection to God, connection to the universe that really literally guides us. 100% has our back. If we can tap into it, that's like going to take us to amazing places. But we have to slow down enough. We have to be grounded and centered to hear it. And that's when we can take those walks. We can do those meditations. We can take the couple minutes, that hour away, right? That's when we can tune into our intuition. So yeah, so those are ways to know, like, if you have a boundary being crossed. And let's see. The other thing, well, let's just answer some questions. I feel like I've just been rambling. How do I get to the questions? Let's see. Oh my goodness, you guys are so sweet.
Excellent.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Yes, boundaries. Yes, we all need boundaries with everything. Yeah, on November 23rd, Sag. I love that.
More or less with you. I understand.
I'm October 24th.
Oh,
and I think I have like Sag Moon or Sag Rising, but it's for real.
Yes,
yes. Okay, these are all so good. Yes, I will definitely email. I'm so glad that this is working. Yes, taking a walk in nature, it's huge for me. Huge for me. Patricia says, once I begin to recognize my people pleaser triggers, it is easier for me to become more aware and able to back away. That's right. And we have triggers. Gosh. And it's not going to correct them overnight, but once we become aware and conscious of it, we can have fun with them and really have fun with yourselves. Laugh at yourselves. You can't laugh at yourself. Not at like you're being like, oh, you stupid idiot, like negative self-talk, but like, oh my gosh, Shaheen, you have such a good heart. You just did that thing again, but it's because your heart is so big. That's the laughing, like the having fun. Yes, and the tired of being hurt just for helping. It's not appreciated. It's not appreciated. But we don't know until we do the thing, and then that's when we can look back and turn it into a learning opportunity of like, I don't have to do that anymore. I send you all my love. I send you healing energy. I want you to be well, but I cannot help you. Energetic boundary, physical boundary, maybe on the phone boundary, text boundaries, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always have to respond to text, especially to like energy vampires.
Correct.
We have to have boundaries.
Energy vampires. I like
Energy vampires. And they're out there and they don't even realize that they're doing that. They don't mean to be energy vampires. They had probably in their life experience, you know, they were never listened to or never given any love or never given any energy. And they're just looking at it, you know, looking for it from other places. But we are not God. We are not whatever divinity thing you believe in, Jesus, whatever. But it is not our job to give. It is just not. You can with love send it, but it is not a self-sacrifice. Do not have to self-sacrifice in that way if the return isn't there and it's not like truly our heart's desire. So just, you know, again, be aware. And I probably should, yeah. So the personal boundaries, the phone is like a huge boundary, right? Like who needs more boundaries with their phone? How much energy goes in and out of this phone? It's like social media. Sometimes we have to draw the boundaries with social media. Like I cannot look at social media. I will literally give myself 15 minutes. I will set a timer because it is taking way too much energy than it is giving. And that's a boundary. That's a boundary with ourselves that we have to create. Anyway, back to this. The other thing that's really important, and Sheila, you kind of like touched on this, is like accepting that not everyone will respect our boundaries. So you know what? Empower yourself. We always hope for the best for people, but for some, it just doesn't work out. These are people who will never listen to you, will never take you seriously, and they continue to overstep boundaries for as long as you have interactions with them. So in this situation, your response has to be different, right? It's about literally not investing too much energy into them. And literally about not even trying to set boundaries with them because it doesn't even work. Like, why? Because you can't change the minds of these people. And they're out there. They're out there. You might have clients like that. You might have family members like that. You might have a best friend like that. It's just about being aware and protecting your energy. Because also too, some of these people, they just might be like super toxic or just ignorant, operating at a very superficial level. Again, it's not their fault, but it's not our job to fix them. You know, everyone's doing the best they can. I really, truly believe that. I really, truly, at my core, think that. I don't think people wake up and say, you know, I'm going to just do the worst effing job ever today. It just doesn't exist. It might exist, but like, I give people the benefit of the doubt, but it's not my job to fix them. So when these serial boundary crossers, these serial toxic people do this is the way to not take it so seriously. Literally, you laugh it off and you just make a joke about it to yourself, not to them, because that'll just trigger them. Be like, oh my God, there they go again. Boundary crosser number 25. Good job. Or you ignore it completely and you smile, you pretend not to care. Because in showing that they're not getting the best of you, you take all their power away. And that you shut them down. They are trying to get your attention however it is possible. But when you stop, if they think the only way to get your attention is through crossing boundaries and being an asshole, you just take their power away. And then they stop, literally. They're like, well, this is for nothing. Or they keep going harder, and you just have to keep pushing. So yeah, you just cut them out. Cut them out to the best of your ability. But yeah, so that's kind of the workshop. We've talked about, I hope you guys loved it and enjoyed it and have found it to be useful. We covered the mindset of having and setting boundaries, why they're important, how to do it without guilt, how to do it without worry. It's a practice, it's a journey. It's not going to just happen overnight. How to recognize and deal when boundaries have been crossed and how to handle it, you know? And then I'm hoping that, you know, from this that you're able to think about the boundary that you need to set, and you have like sort of that juice behind you where you're like, all right, I got this. I can go and do this. I can go do this thing. And when we go set our boundaries, I want you to always reflect back, what am I honoring in myself when I set this boundary? I'm honoring the love for this relationship. I'm honoring the respect I have for me. I'm honoring the fact that I am trying right now to put myself first. That's huge. The rest, we can do nothing else. But like, if we can just do that, those are all steps like to being empowered, to claiming our authority, claiming our space in the world. So yes, I hope you're feeling more grounded than ever, with the boundaries and how much they matter. And I hope that you'll be able to set more and not worry about how people are going to react. And I know that you understand how important they are, because that's why you're here. And you guys all have really, really big hearts. And this is the part where I'm going to talk about the course, and there's no pressure at all. This is just me coming to my own journey of like 40, I'm 47, right? So like 47 to now, like this is me. So if you want to stay, like stick around and listen, I welcome you. There's no pressure. This is, all 100. If you're complete, I am so blessed that you're here. I love you. If you want to stick around, you're welcome to. Everyone's free to do whatever they like. But you might still be wondering, like, why is it so hard to set boundaries? Right? Like, why is it so hard? What happened in my life that makes putting me first in my life so damn difficult? What is the story I tell myself that's keeping me last on the list, that's keeping me playing really, really small? Because we have these internal dialogues, these internal stories that we tell ourselves that we're not even really aware of. You also might be wondering, how can I rewrite that story and become the greatest story ever told? I love that expression. It's not mine, it's somebody else's, but how can I become the greatest story ever told? This is where you find your power, your purpose, your confidence, your authority. It's all in your story. I'm so big on this. And then, you might be wondering, how can I set better boundaries with myself? How can I change the way I think, set boundaries on how I see myself in the world? How can I lead with more intuition? How can I step into my purpose, into my bigger context? And how can I turn this like inner knowing that there's more, that I am meant for more? How can I turn this into my outer reality? This is like the magic, right? This is like the total magic. So these are the things that that will take you to your next level. And this is like what I have put and created into this new course. It's called Because You Deserve More, the Life Edition. And there will be a business edition, but right now I'm focusing on the Life Edition. And this is about getting the best from yourself and from everyone else, because you deserve more. And that's just the bottom line. We all deserve more. We all deserve more. If for nothing else, like, we deserve more. Everyone deserves more. And there's more. There's plenty. There's no scarcity. There's no lack. There is plenty. So if this is you and you're ready to peel back the layers, to unlearn what's not yours and what's not serving you, if you're ready to define your self-worth, if you're ready to fall in love with you, my favorite thing, become the most important in your own woman in your own world, set standards and boundaries that allow you to grow and evolve, and really own your story and transform it all into your authority. Your challenges are your strengths, and that's where your authority is. If there's nothing else, there's that. It's like your challenges are your strengths, and that's your authority. That is your confidence. That is like your divine gift. That's like, that will allow you to stand in your position of power. So this is like, that's what this course is. And I'll try, I want to give you like a little backdrop, and I'll be quick because I know we're close to the hour, but how I got to this, because I think it's important that you know. So always like having the hardest time like in my life speaking my truth. And I literally, because I was a woman, I thought my husband wanted to be me to be, I was being her. I started a business to please him. And honestly, this is me, not him. He wanted me to get a degree. I got a degree. I'm like so in debt for it, but it's okay. I'm not blaming him. I finally took responsibility for my life, you guys. Like, he's out. Like, no, he's here, but like he doesn't get the blame anymore. Like, I take responsibility. So I was pleasing the wrong people. And I was so out of touch of how worthy I was. I gave all my power over to every single person I met, oh, they're smarter, they're more successful, they have more money, they're more beautiful, they know more than me. Every time I'd see somebody, power, here you go. Here you go. I'm not smart. I'm not this. No worthiness, even though I had all these degrees, right? Just, it's like it means nothing if it's not coming from you. And then, I was still like, this is where it got really wild, is that I was repressing like sexual abuse as a child. My family, my husband knew about it, and that you guys, it finally got to the point where I broke and I had to talk about it. And my karma was such that I kept finding myself in abusive situations because I didn't heal. I didn't think it was a thing that I had to heal. I thought, okay, I'm strong. I can run. I can run. I can be busy. I can be productive. I can be superwoman. I can please everyone else but me. And then this trauma is going to go away. And it didn't. And it didn't. And so I had to heal it. But it came at a really great price. And how it happened was, I mean, also too, like I was doing everything 110% perfectionist. Like that was me, get like 2 masters. How many certifications do I have? Like it's ridiculous, but never feeling worthy myself and always running from me. And I wouldn't say no ever. I wouldn't delegate because I was a control freak. And I would go out of my way to help everyone. When I wanted to say no, I wouldn't. I'd say yes. And even if I found the energy to say no, it wouldn't last. I'd go back and be like, oh, you know what? Actually, I can do it because I needed that worth. I needed that approval. And then what ended up happening was I hit rock bottom. I lost a job. I got fired. And I don't talk about this, but I'm starting to talk about it. I got like a 6-figure job, but I took my broken ass, my trauma ass to this job, and I was still running from myself. And what had happened was that, my afternoon wine, my evening wine, mom wine, it was like controlled for a while, but it was controlled only to the point that it started becoming an escape. And it was the only way I knew how to relax. It was the only thing that could relax me. And that became a problem, like a huge problem. So what happened was, I'll just be very honest and transparent here. And why not? Because that's what happened. I mean, I got the 6-figure job working for Amex as a senior client manager. I mean, I manifested it, I got it, but my heart was breaking. I had just gone through this other whole traumatic thing. Anyway, they had this company event and I got like super shit-faced and I got blackout drunk, and then I got fired 2 weeks later. I have no idea what I told them. I probably told them all to F off and that I hated them. And I think MX is a stupid thing. Job was not right for me. None of it was right. But the point is, I got fired. I was so horrified because my family needed the money. I was finally making that 6-figure dream job, which was not what I thought would make me happy. Again, doing the thing that I thought I should be doing. Look where it got me. It got me like fucking fired. Like I got fired. I knew that I had to check myself into somewhere or I was going to kill myself. I say this very lightheartedly now because I've gone through the healing. It's been a couple of years, but yes, I was like so close to taking my life. And I knew if I didn't get help, I knew if I didn't,
real.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean, how often are we all
like that?
Thank you.
There.
Yeah. I mean, it's
speaking upon it.
Thank you. It's hard because yeah, we've all been there, right? It was the worst thing ever. We didn't have the money. We had to pull the money. We had to figure it out. And I left. I got in the car and I'm like, and I went to the recovery center and that was it for like a month. I didn't talk to anybody. I had to do such hard work, and I'm very fortunate and blessed to have been given that opportunity. But I knew if I didn't, my kids wouldn't have a mom.
Correct.
And my husband wouldn't have a wife. And that would just be the end because I was so ashamed. So ashamed. They didn't get it. My husband didn't get it, but I knew I had to go. And so that's when I did the work. I cracked the code, so to speak, is very, whatever. But yeah, so this course is the rebuilding of my life. And it's like offering all the things that I did for me, for you, because I know how hard it is. And so for real, I don't regret a single minute. I never actually thought I'd get to this point. I never thought I'd get to this point. And I did, I did. And, I had to talked to my mom about the sexual abuse, and I had to come out with a lot of stuff. And I just, and I had to own my truth. Do people like it? No, but it's my truth. This is my truth, And so anyway, all this to say that this is the birth. This is why I created Because You Deserve More, because we do deserve more, and life can beat the shit out of us, but we can also take responsibility and rebuild our lives. And it doesn't mean throw away the baby with the bathwater. It doesn't mean quit your jobs. It doesn't mean anything like that. It's just about finding meaning and purpose in what we're doing right now and building upon that. Like rewriting our story, rewriting our future, and seeing our challenges as our strengths. So, you guys, from that, here I am. I'm no longer like people pleasing. I'm not people pleasing my husband. We have like still again married. Is it perfect? No. Was COVID hard as hell? Yes. But we're still here, because we have our boundaries. He respects my space. I need a lot of space right now to do this like transformation. And I've tuned back into my intuition. And there were many times my intuition was telling me no, no, no. And I was just like, yeah, fine, yeah. I'm an overachiever. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the thing. And my intuition's like, no, that's actually not who you are. No, you actually shouldn't say yes to that. Yeah, you don't know anything. Going so fast. This is the most important part though, is I have realized the only person I'm waiting on approval from has been myself. And that is huge. That's huge. I mean, that actually, this part makes me want to cry, because the rest is just, it's facts. But knowing that now, like, I have so much love and compassion for myself, and seeing all the mistakes I've made have actually just stemmed from that spot. And I've literally only been waiting on myself. So at 47, it's possible at any age. It's not too late at any late age. It's just about loving yourself and approving of who you are, being proud of you, being so proud of you, and for your battles, and for getting up again, for being resilient, for being here. It takes courage. And I commend all of you guys. So yeah, that's like one of my biggest takeaways. And from that, I've been able to build this business, be here, show up with you guys, surround myself with people who want to have impact. And I want to help people. And so so I'm going to go back into the course, but the heart of the course is a six-week course. The things that we go over, it's the story we tell ourselves. It's about looking at the stories we tell ourselves and defining who we are in the world and the roles that we play, about drawing on our values, our purpose, our strengths, healing the wounds, having self-compassion. The second module, it's about our paradigm shift, shifting our energetic, how we see ourselves, setting boundaries, claiming our space. This is so important, like really diving into like our mindset, our emotions, our spirituality, our intuition. And then thirdly, another thing we go over is becoming an energetic match. So deep dive into what we want our world to look like and becoming that. Because in order for it to look like that, we have to energetically become that first. And this is always the hardest part, but it's actually the most fun, and it involves a lot of magic. This is when you're like, show me signs, universe, and you get like a little bird show up and you're like, that's a sign. This morning I was so nervous, and I was like, laying in my bed, I'm like, show me a sign.
God, say that again. Yes.
Yes.
The little red bird is always following me around wherever I go. Oh my God.
It's your sign. We have these divine signs.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about tuning into that.
Mm-hmm.
And this morning, it's funny because I was laying in bed, and then literally out of nowhere, there wasn't an earthquake. This like thing rolled off my desk. Like a big roll, like a 3-foot roll off my desk. And I was like, what the heck? And I was like, okay. I was like, there you go. God is with me. I am protected, whatever. Again, I just knew, I was like, that was my sign. Like, go forward, do this thing. So being an energetic match. And then another module is your authority revealed. So it's about owning your story, being anchored in your authority, serene, centered, grounded in your authority. And we do like a deep dive again into the core strengths, what makes you a badass, bringing these strengths to the present moment and operating from this space, like really drawing upon this well of strength. And then The fifth one is show up and shine. And this is diving into our next level selves, our next level relationships, what it is, speaking our truth, really knowing what our truth is, and stop like really shedding who everyone has told us to be, about claiming our authority, our autonomy, our freedom. It's all about freedom. This whole thing is like the overarching theme is about freedom, personal freedom, freedom from ourselves, freedom from this way of thinking. And then at the end, it's all about integration. It's transformed and tranquil. Success will have no choice but to follow you wherever you go, showing up in the world for yourself, making the impact, operating from a sense of what the big picture really is. And that's the 6 weeks. And it includes so it's 6 weeks. We meet once a week. I do the teaching, we do the group coaching, and there's a Facebook group where we're, supporting each other. It's women only, celebrate our wins, our struggles, it's intimate. It's literally a journey. We're celebrating each other. I'll put the link in the chat. I'll do that now. And then let's do that now. You guys, I just finished the sales page. Hang on, here we go. Sorry, I don't know how to do the chat. There we go. Okay. And then so you guys right now down to the facts, the fun facts. How much is it? Right now it's $9.99, and there's a payment plan, a 6-month payment plan, and that's $195 for 6 months. The price, so it's $9.99 for all my workshop ladies. That will go up after Friday. And eventually this will be a $1,400 course, just letting you guys know. But I'm going to have it open for 3 weeks. So I'll be selling it at different price points. So if you do the pay in full, you get a 1-hour coaching session with me. And that's like for the first women who sign up. So that's kind of the deal. It's all on the sales page. But yeah, I love the payment plan for $195 a month. And it's for 6 months. But yeah, this is the journey. This is the transformation. This is like, and it's not something that you need. It's something that you desire. This is all like for you if your heart is being called to this work. But it's basically, my life's journey in a course. And then, what else will be included? I have like custom tailored meditations. So I'll be releasing meditations every week, and, and it'll be based on like what we're going through in a group as a whole. So I'll be making them as we go. What else is there? And there'll be, journal prompts and worksheets and things like that to help you ground in the teachings. So, and then I'm going to email all you the